India is facing this extraordinary opportunity to really become a master of this new world, to become one of the genuinely important global countries. It has enormous economic potential. It has this extraordinary political model, which for all its problems is a model of democracy and openness and diversity. It has a political and economic class that can connect with the world and set the agenda because of the ease with which this elite is able to function in the world, partly because of English, also because of a more globalized perspective, because of the Indian diaspora. It has, an extraordinary culture to lead with the world, and unlike China, it has not denuded itself of its culture. It has not forgotten its culture in a great chase for modernity. I think that India has an enormous opportunity. What it has to deal with, and I would just turn Raja's point about America on its head, and say it has to deal with a political class that is simply so out of touch with the currents of the world right now, that is so unable to grasp these opportunities and able to modernize the country in the way that it could be modernized and fulfill the potential of this country, that it's really tragic, and it's very sad to see that. Some of it is done in the guise of old left-wing ideology of the non-alignment, and this is an elite that's very comfortable in a world in which India was the victim of everybody. And so the whole game of that political class is to describe this process of victimhood in exquisite detail, to revel in it, and then try to find people to blame and potentially get reparations from, rather than realizing that India is actually on the verge of being one of the victors, not the victims, and that it should be asking itself how it can accelerate that process. And unfortunately, I see very little change on that front. I think perhaps if you have a new generation, and perhaps that new generation will be everywhere, that will come not as we have thought from the kind of big national parties, but from the Dalit parties and from every segment of Indian society. And then once you have that generational change, you will get something. But it's going to be very difficult because you still have the old Nehruvian state, and I don't mean to decry Nehru in this respect. I just mean the old socialist state, in which everybody has enormous incentives to maintain control, to stop reform, to maintain some process by which you can say no to modernity. You can say no to progress. There are so many people who gain a great deal politically, economically from saying no in this country. And once you say to yourself, how can you transform that to a situation where people are actually who actually benefit from saying yes?